All right, it is 6:30, and we will be calling this meeting to order.
We need to do a quick point of order, just some agenda cleanup really quickly, so to exercise executive privilege.
Go ahead.
Mr. Hall actually needs to be present for this, so just take a quick moment. We need to track him down. We're requesting the attorney, that's all. He's not in present.
We called the meeting to order, and then Councilmember Day has requested a point of order.
Yeah, point of order. We're going to do we're going to exercise the council's right to reorder some of the things on the agenda just really quickly. Some of these are just mostly housekeeping type things. One of the big ones is we have an executive session with respect to Heath scheduled all the way at the end of this. My understanding is that there is a member in the audience that is relevant to this that's here currently, and I'm in favor of moving that to right away and getting that out of the way before we even go into the invocation. With respect to item number, talk to my colleague, item number 7.7, I'm seeking to strike that item. And I'm seeking to move item number 6 to where item 7.7 was.
So Councilmember Day is requesting the changes. So if somebody wants to make a motion on those changes.
Yeah, can I make that motion, Mr. Hall, since I'm the one making the recommendation?
Enough to forward me the resolution. I believe that the resolution does allow for a motion. I can't remember exactly, but that's still appropriate. The way the resolution is worded is that it is how the council is going to conduct business on their meetings. Mm-hmm. It doesn't decide anything substantive. It's a form-only resolution in how the council is going to conduct business. That's all it is.
So we just need to establish an approval. That's all.
I think that's fine. Yes, I think that's fine if you've got the new order. Yeah.
Okay, so you're asking me for an approval?
Asking you to poll the council for an approval.
So
are you requesting a motion in a second?
A motion and then a second.
So I move that we go to executive session item number 8. And that we strike item number 7.7 and replace it with item number 6.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
So all those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed?
Nay.
So the motion will carry. Folks, I apologize. We won't even give you an invocation yet because we're going to go to executive session. We're going to go to executive session at 6:34, and we'll be back. And I apologize for the grand crowd. It is 7:02, and we are back from executive session. There was actually no action taken. So we will go into our invocation, finally. Mayor Pro Tem Tucker.
We can bow our heads. Thank you, Lord, for giving us this opportunity always to come together and discuss the concerns that face our town. Lord, give us a judicious sense of presence of yourself. Bless us as we proceed. Give us insights, and let us always do what your will. In Christ's name, amen.
And if Jerry Brewer, if you could lead us in our pledges. All right. Rules of decorum are in effect. We'll try to make sure we maintain politeness, kindness, and respect for one another. So with that, we will go into our citizens' comments. And first on the list is Mr. Eric Towery. And Angela will have a timer going, so when you hear it, try to close out your thoughts.
Eric Towery, 1252 Livorno. All right. Hello, councilman. I'm standing here in front of you again almost 2 months later with as much of an idea of y'all's plan to obtain water as I did that night, zero. I'll make this quick and straight to the point. I want to remind you first, remember your duty. You are not dictators. You are servants of the community. It gets very dangerous when those in power stop listening to their citizens because they think they know what's best for us. Public service is a trust, and you have to take that trust seriously. Harold Washington said a public servant must have one outstanding trait, the ability to serve with humility. Honestly, some of you are lacking in the humility department. Right now, I see a group of men pushing an agenda against their own legal counsel, burn bridges in your wake, and a warpath that majority of McLendon-Chisholm does not want any part of. If you vote to continue with litigation tonight, you will make a statement that you are no longer serving the people's wants, but your own. And as I said before, you have more eyes on you than ever before. You will answer for these decisions in May. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Kathy Garrison.
Thank you. I just wanted to say, I am at 1400 Wilders Way in Rockwall. We're on the outside in HPLE Estates. I have been going to every water board meeting that we have had for the last 2.5 years when we've had the old board and the new board. David Naylor has run this water board with the best intentions I have ever seen with someone trying to accompany and keep his members in the best standing. And with you, Mr. McNeil, I know that you have been working with him, and we are just so happy that you're being a part of all this. Michael Easter has been to some of the meetings, and I don't understand why we're having this issue again and again. We had it before when you had another mayor pro tem that was up here trying to push the same thing. And every time she was there recording the meetings, she'd turn around to me and say, they're not going to get away with this. They're not going to get away with this. Well, what I'm seeing is it's coming to fruition, and I hate seeing the division that it's causing between the city, the people, and the members of the water company, and we're going to be the ones that are suffering from it. And we thank you for your leadership in, well, trying to lead. And I hope that the council members can all come together and work through this, because it is nothing but a bad situation whenever you're working against each other. And I just pray to God that we can get past this. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Bud Boyd?
Hi, my name's Bud Hoy. I live on Kentwood Drive, and I was here about a request for a replat. Those houses have been out there. There were deed restrictions. I can kind of read you what I gave you in writing here. Since 1984 with 20 houses. Since then, nobody's tried to build any more houses. Nobody's tried to do anything else, because we all bought a house in a mature neighborhood that was done. There's nobody that lives in the neighborhood other than the people that want the replat that want the replat. We were told more than a year ago that everybody had to okay this, and suddenly this requirement's mysteriously disappeared, and we're told that y'all can do it however you want to do it. Now, I know this plat is not a building permit, but it leads forward to selling it to somebody that thinks that they can build a house there. And I don't know if they can build a house there. There's no assurance that a building permit would ever be issued. This the thing that happened over here in Chisholm Crossing with the dam, with the house built right behind the dam where they dug it up and the dam started caving in. I drove by it yesterday and took pictures of it. That we were warned on the news that there could be a possible evacuation and a problem, and that's what the citizens of Kentwood are concerned about with building behind this dam. That one was soil conservation site number 8. We're number 7. And it's the same thing. There's a house they're digging right behind a dam and to try to flatten it out and get it where it won't get flooded. And that's probably the same thing that's going to happen. I don't know if that's something that the city wants to be involved with or not. Do you want to be on the news anymore? Wasn't much fun, was it, sir? This plat, this lot, if you look in the agenda, it shows the size of the lot, and it shows the primary spillway running across about the middle of the lot. It shows a circle that's like a stilling well where the pipe comes out of the back of the dam. And then it runs through a creek and runs across up to 1139, goes down 1139 a little ways, then goes under 1139 and heads further back east. There's just a lot of risk to all this that none of us ever thought that we were going to have to deal with when we bought our houses in our nice, beautiful, mature neighborhood. Is there any questions I could answer about any of that, what I said for y'all? Thank you.
You good over there, sir? All right. Next up is Sherry London.
Sherry London, 216 Harvest Ridge Drive. I'm here to address the 4 council members who voted in September to terminate RCH's water supply contract with Sonoma Verde, and that's Tucker Day, Easter, and McLendon. Tonight, you have the chance to correct that decision and rescind your vote. As I'm sure you've probably been told, your vote to terminate was in fact a vote to breach the contract. The contract requires disputes to be mediated, and you bypassed that entirely. The termination isn't effective for a few more days, so there's time to get it right. But if you don't walk back your vote, that window will close. Since that meeting, some of you have been active on social media. not to clarify your plan, but simply to assure us there is one. We're still waiting to hear what that is. And in fact, you've now taken it off the agenda tonight. I was looking forward to hearing what you had plans for us. Instead of that, we heard baseless and defamatory statements from Councilman Tucker, who claimed there's poop in our water. Whether he realized it or not, his accusations implicated the city of Rockwall and the regional lab at North Texas Municipal Water District, creating more unnecessary tension with the very partners we need on this issue. Item 7.7, which is now off the agenda, has nothing to do with peaceable negotiation, everything to do with restarting a 180-day clock that leads to the next hostile takeover attempt by the city. Councilman Day told me personally this is not the plan, but refuses to tell me what the plan is. He has generously offered to speak to HOAs, but has still refused to speak about it here in the council chambers where everyone can hear it. The timeline Ms. Balcom presented to this council in June of 2023 shows that for the city to become a water provider, it would still have to put in its own infrastructure. RCH and Blackland are already doing that, but the only plan I've seen from a public information request, by the way, because it was never presented to us, needs a third set of infrastructure. What kind of magic math has the same number of customers paying for not just 2, but now 3 new take points, towers, and storage? It doesn't take a genius to see that 3 systems will cost those same customers more than if they only had to pay for 2. This council has yet to reveal a solution that would benefit all RCH customers inside and outside the city. Anything less is another problem, not a solution. None of us should be sacrificed on the altar of the city getting a water utility. Your decisions affect all of us. I hope the May elections would have shifted your direction. I'd hope that the 300 plus signatures I gathered with the help of the community after the September special meeting would have sent a message that all RCH customers want their voices heard. You promised those outside the city that you'd listen to them, but you're not even listening to your own residents. Tonight, you are being handed an opportunity to redeem yourselves. Show us that you're listening. Show us you recognize the mistake made in September's special meeting. Show us you're willing to correct it by rescinding that vote. I genuinely hope you prove me wrong, because I think you're going to double down. But restore our faith in you. Walk it back.
Thank you. April Garcia, you're next.
Thank you. I'm April Garcia. I live at 100 Harvest Ridge Cove. Back in July, you posted a public notice of possible quorum on our city website. The occasion was a tour of the new 9th grade campus. The public notice was to assure us that no city business would be conducted during this tour. Tonight, I'm here to ask, where was the notice of possible quorum for the meeting 4 of you attended on November the 3rd with Katrina Pearson? You posted a notice for touring a school, but not to attend a meeting to discuss upcoming legislative priorities. From the photos I've seen, it looks like she invited everyone on the city council except Councilman Brewer and Mayor Brian McNeil. Even our former Mayor Pro Tem Adrian Balcom was in attendance. This is very concerning when one considers the only 2 being left out are the ones voicing opposition to this hostile takeover of RCH. Maybe it's good she wants to hear what's important to our cities. But when you discuss city business as a quorum, you do this in public. That is the law. Where was the notice of possible quorum for this particular meeting? Photos showed there was a quorum not only from our city, but also possibly from Rockwall and Fate. What was going on here? Where was the agenda, the minutes, and the invitation to the public? Councilman Tucker, Easter, McLendon, and Day, you were there. What was discussed at that meeting? Was there city business discussed? I'm very interested to know what a quorum of the city council told our state rep about its legislative priorities for this next session. According to her Facebook post, that was the purpose of the meeting. I understand that you cannot answer me during public comments because of the Texas Open Meetings Act, as I am not speaking on an agenda item. I ask that you please add this to the next council agenda. The citizens of McLendon-Chisholm deserve an answer as to what a quorum of this city council told our state representative were our city's priorities. I have seen this council throw around accusations of TOMA violations repeatedly over the last 2 years. I find this to be very hypocritical in light of recent events. TOMA is about transparency, and some members of this council continue to do business in secret. Accusing others of TOMA violations is a hobby of yours, but it seems you really don't even understand how to comply with the law yourselves. That needs to stop. As a citizen, I look forward to seeing this item on the next city council agenda. Thank you.
Thank you. Tony Crawford?
I'm going to break the water deal up here a little bit. My name's Tony Crawford, 104 Lavender Place in McLendon-Chisholm. I was going to talk about CWD is kind of gone down in its service for us. We're having problems in our neighborhood. Then I'm hearing some problems in other neighborhoods also. I don't know why the level of service has dropped off, but it has. We've got trash being left on the street. We've got trash cans that are being broken pretty often for them sliding them back instead of carrying them, just putting them where they're at. We've also had a brush issue where the brush has been in front of the house on Fireside for a month and a half now. We're working with the owner to get this done. They actually had to pay up front to have the brush truck come out, but the brush trucks never come out. So I called and complained about it. They said the truck last Thursday and used that crew to take about a third of it and leave the other 2/3 there. And then I guess they're going to come back this Thursday and get the rest of it. So I don't understand why they paid for a brush truck to come get it and they're not providing the brush truck to come do it. We've also had another resident that called me and told me that because we've had over the last month and a half, or two or 3 months, we've had them where they're not even picking up until Friday, and our day's supposed to be on Thursday. And I know they may be short of people or whatever, but what they'll do is that they'll come through real quick and they'll put all the recycling and the trash in the same truck and take care of it that way. So if somebody can talk to CWD, we've heard the excuse that they've had trucks down or whatever. That's been going on for a couple of months, but we're not given the level of service that we've been used to. And if somebody can actually ask the hard questions with CWD, we'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Angela, can you send me a reminder so I can call CWD on this week? Thank you. Next up is Ellis Carter.
Good evening. My name is Ellis Carter, and I'm at 1804 Kentwood Circle. And we purchased some property. The gentleman spoke earlier about the dam and all of this stuff. The thing about the replat, we didn't create this situation. We bought into this situation, and we were told that we should have known about this situation. We purchased our home at 1804 Kentwood Circle on May the 9th, 2019. Our buyer's contract read that we would acquire lot 1 and 3 of Kentwood Edition. As evidenced in the survey provided by the seller agent and verified by Trinity Title Company. It was also referenced that on the MLS as 18.75 acres. We were also told that 5 acres, part of lot 1 could be subdivided into a separate plat. We have been pursuing the replat since January of 2020. We were forced to file a lawsuit against the seller, Mr. Underwood, Trinity Title Company, who misrepresented the total acreage, the real estate agent who misrepresented that 1A could be developed into 2 plats. We settled that lawsuit with the defendant acknowledging their misconduct. Since that time, we have been trying to replat Lot 1A to carve off approximately 5 acres. We have presented new surveys from Burn Survey according to the rules and the regulation of the city of McLendon-Chisholm to no avail. I know they were talking about the dam, and it's another dam that was falling apart. But this dam is below Kentwood Estate property. All the houses around there are above this dam. So we have a lot that's behind that dam. I have pictures of it. I don't know if you guys would like to see those pictures that I took. But it doesn't affect anybody, except if we were to sell that piece of land to anybody, it would be up to them, to do their due diligence, to have that dam survey to see if it would hold or not before they built. But if they did, they said it was okay, and it, happened to fail, I think it's just only one house that it would affect, because there's no more homes around that, behind that dam. Now, there's a subdivision, I think it's Mara Vista. It's a whole subdivision over there, but it wouldn't affect that either. So we're just asking just to get a replat of that portion, which we were told that we could do. And whether it affects somebody, because we had planned on building on it. So, we weren't thinking about the dam failing or what. And I think if it fails, it would have to be pretty high, because the way it is built, it goes around. But the thing about it is, I think the whoever it is, the land conservation or whoever's over that dam, will let the people know if someone was trying to buy that land, give them permission to build on that lot, and it will be up to them. But all we're trying to do is get a replat, We're not saying that you'd be able to build on it or not, but if they could, we would like that. So I hope, I don't know, I hope we can get past this issue, because I'm listening to the water a lot. That's more important than a replat, but it's our property, and we bought it under the impression that we could build on it. So I know we're down here on the agenda a little bit later, but anyway, I don't see where that building a house on there, if it was approved or not, how the dam would affect it. Thank you.
Thank you. Tom Ritz.
Tom Ritz, I live over in Kingsbridge, 1305 Somerset, otherwise known as the mouth that roars, because I talk a lot and I insult the hell out of people, because at my age, I've lost all my filters. So I'm going to direct my remarks at the 4 miscreants, scalawags, Democrats, spendthrifts, because they are the ones who are causing us grief. They're the ones that are making us spend money. We've already spent over $100,000 on this RCH and lawsuits and every other damn thing. Now, I don't really understand why on earth you're doing what you're doing, because I can see absolutely no good result coming out of this. If you take over RCH, there's all kinds of bad things that are going to happen. Nothing good. It's going to cost us money. Oh, and besides that, by violating a contract, RCH can sue us. But the other thing is, you four took that on your own because you did it without the express advice of our lawyer. That means you individually are going to be liable. Now, I don't know what a lawsuit might cost, but you know, lawyers are damned expensive. Maybe they get $1,000 an hour. Hey, 4 different suits, maybe $20,000 each individually out of your own pocket. And the city, but you know, all the rest of us, we won't be paying for that because RCH is going to win the lawsuit because you violated the contract. So you're stuck. But we're stuck for what RCH lawyer fees. Anyway, when you guys decided to cancel the contract, it was not a good thing. And I think that you're getting a chance to fix it tonight. So I suggest, for your own benefit and for the benefit of the whole city, you vote to rescind your vote. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Dennis London.
For the sake of time, I'll forego.
Okay. Donald Goodwin.
Good evening. Don Goodwin, Sonoma Verde, 1307 Sienna Court. It's good to see you guys here, and I have said this to all you guys. I appreciate the work you do. I know this stuff's not easy. I really just want to bring to your attention, I'm really concerned about the community. The pulse is not good. It's very divisive. We're kind of hearing a lot of emotion tonight. I know we can doubt that. I mean, we're hearing lawyers now. I can just tell you the appearance. It appears that 4 of you have gone rogue. And when I hear 4 of you have gone rogue, possibly with somebody that was voted out by 80%, I'm really concerned, guys. It's just is not a good look. What's going on in the community is not good. I don't know what's going on here. You guys need to fix this. The divisiveness has got to stop. I want to give you guys some numbers. I took a little poll in Sonoma Verde, my little community. Floyd, you live there. Brian, you live there. I live there. Just a little poll. I'm not trying to influence anything. I wanted to get a bunch of data. Just said, hey, water's a hot topic. Where are we at on it? Got 65 responses. This is not statistically significant for the data guy in here. 65 responses. 3 were miscellaneous ideas of people being jokesters, and that's fine. 4 were said find another provider. 58 said keep RCH. The really big one that I put on there was should the city take it over, and that was a resounding 0. I think it's pretty clear the people of Sonoma Verde don't want you messing with our water. And I'm trying to keep my thoughts out of this. I've had conversations with you guys. I'm open to hearing other plans. I'm really trying to keep an open mind. But at some point, you guys have a duty to listen to the majority. And a lot of people don't want this. I'm not here to tell you what I think or whatever. I'm just observing the community. I think a lot of people don't want this. And you guys have a duty to represent and to provide representation for us and listen to us. And that's the bigger concern I have. If a community feels like they're not being listened to, what do they have left? What do they do? They vote? Well, they voted. What's left for the community? I really want you guys to ponder that. The other question I have is, I don't think this is new data for you guys. This is not new news. Why do you guys continue to move forward? I'm personally trying to put this together, and I've had conversations with you guys, and I think you're reasonable men. Why are we moving forward? I'm just hearing, if I'm here to represent the community, I'm trying to put myself in your shoes. Why am I moving forward with this? I don't understand it. And I'll wait if you guys want to explain it later, but I can't close that loop. I'm really happy you guys took 7-7 off, because we had a conversation after the last council meeting, and when I read that, I felt like you guys lied to me that night. So I'm glad you guys took it off, just on a personal note. Thank you.
Gina Manis.
Hello, everybody. Thank you again so much for your service to our community. A lot of great people here tonight. And I love that we have 5 different perspectives. That's what makes a good council. Because if everybody had the same idea, it may be the worst idea. But because all of you agree, then we're not the better for it. Because you bring 5 different perspectives, we are better for it. As I understand, the city terminated the contract with RCH when RCH submitted a loan application and is asking for, the city's only asking for a new contract that addresses the following concerns. You're not filing a suit, you didn't file litigation, you're not taking anything over. I think there's a lot of misinformation going on out there, and we need to get back to why you did what you did. Okay, that was my basic question, and I got a very clear answer. RCH submitted a $20 million loan application to the U.S. Department of Agriculture, or USDA, which would use the revenue of water supplied through the city's pipes to Sonoma Verde residents as collateral, remember that word, for the loan. If the loan were to be issued and secured using revenues derived from SV residents, the loan would be subject to federal law. Specifically, I believe it's called 7 U.S.C. 1926B. Specific to MC, this title bars and ties the hands of the city from being able to determine who supplies water through the city's pipes to Sonoma Verde residents for the entire duration of the loan, which now stands at 20 years. Huge problems to this. A, if RCH were unable to repay the loan, the city would not be able to step in and address water supply issues without the USDA or RCH successors. B, the city would also not be able to seek a market-based solution or other water supply options to identify additional water suppliers for SV for the summer of 2025, which are likely less costly. This would in turn reduce the demand on RCH water and increase the RCH water available to the other users, including MC residents outside SV. This is just not about SV. It benefits all of MC, city limits, city citizens, which you guys are responsible for, which someone already pointed out. So I'm glad, you know, that you're looking at all the different angles and sides of this. C, aside from those factors, MC's wagon would be hitched to RCH's for 20 years, the life of the loan, and we could not pursue better water supply options if we wanted to. This is called a monopoly, and I'm not good with that. So the city's concerns have great merit of being, number one, the use of revenue for collateral, two, the city's hands being tied for the entire duration of the loan. Basically, then, RCH is seeking control of city property for its own use, which only monopolizes to the detriment of SB residents and ultimately the residents of McLendon-Chisholm. I'm not good with this as a resident, and I'm not good with the city's hands being tied for 20 years. That's like my neighbor taking a home improvement loan on his house, but using my home and income as collateral to secure the loan, which is my wagon to his for 20 years, whether I like it or not. Not to mention there's zero benefit to me when he sells it.
Gina,
Yet I shouldered all the risk.
The timer went off. Just wrap up the last thought.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool. I'm asking for you guys to work with I'm asking the city to work with RCH to negotiate a new and mutually acceptable contract which addresses these two concerns. That's it. Hoping that RCH will be as transparent and citizen-focused as they portray in their emails. So that's it. Just those two things. We're not taking over anything. It's not hostile. Just address those two things. Thank you.
Thank you. That is all I have for submitted citizens' comments. I always ask if there's anybody who wants to make a comment, feel free to raise your hand and come to the podium. Just make sure you fill out a form when you're done and state your name and address for us. Thank you.
Hello, my name's Ashley. You've heard from me before. I'm at 1503 Via Toscana Lane in Sonoma Verde. So when I hear the word hostile, usually that means to me that things were done in a dark way, in a mysterious way, in a not clear way, in a way that is not at all understood by those who most need to understand it. And so I want to also say the word precedent to you, because as the city council right now, you are setting a precedent. We are McLendon-Chisholm, we are still small. We have the opportunity to continue to grow. But if we are going to be antagonistic to every contract we possibly make, think of the precedents that we are setting to other possible businesses who might want to work with us. We've signed something, everyone's good, it's been voted upon by the people, and then suddenly everything blows up. So if I were a business, I wouldn't want to work with any of you. So I just want you to think about that from a business perspective. From the hostile perspective, again, RCH isn't God. I don't think it's God. But I still have yet to hear a plan from anybody. We're listening. We've been asking you for one. And, you know, I'm a little bit worried about a plan being submitted by people who can't understand a TCEQ. Call me crazy if you want, but if somebody's going to be working a background deal, I want to make sure that basic level things are understood first. And so if you can help me understand that you are clear on what you are doing, and the rest of these people who are asking you a simple question, if you have a plan, show it to us. Bring it on. We want to see it. If you've been coming up with something that you really think is for the people, which you keep telling us it is, show me the money, baby. I want to see it. Why are you waiting? What's holding you back? This is where the hostile part comes in. So you guys being all mysterious, like, we know what's best for you in the background. No, that's not why we put you in these places. So we're asking you as nicely, as politely as we can, please show us your plan, or we will continue to think that you are being deceptive. Does anybody think that that's weird? I don't know. Is it just me? So please, I'm asking you, like, please show us. Please show us your plan, because we don't want to think that our council members are deceptive. That's why I'm continually here when I'm supposed to be putting my kid to bed. Please, show us your plan. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else before I close citizen comments? right, citizens' comments are closed. That will bring us to consent agenda. Is there any items that the council wants removed from consent agenda? If not, I'll accept a motion to approve consent.
I'll make a motion to accept the consent agenda.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, show consent agenda unanimously passed. We moved item 6, so we will go to item 7.1. Angela.
It is still this one. I thought that was moved.
They took out 6.
Okay. Sorry about that. Discuss and consider rescinding termination. No, that was, did we move that one?
No. 7.1.
Okay. Discuss and consider rescinding termination on the RCH water license agreement between the city and RCH for Sonoma Verde entered into on or about January the 14th, 2014.
I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, if there's any discussion, we'll start with Councilmember Easter.
Sure, thank you. I would like to address some of the comments that were raised earlier this evening that I think are based on inaccurate information. First of all, we're following this pathway based
Do we need
on
to stay
advice.
on the? Do we need to stay on the agenda item of 7.1? The item is to discuss and consider rescinding termination, not to address any of the misinformation.
No, this is relevant to the rescission of it.
I need to hear what he says first to know whether it's relevant.
The item is to discuss and consider rescinding termination on the RCH water license agreement between the city and RCH for Sonoma Verde entered into on or about January 14th, 2014.
Addressing the issue that somebody has told folks out here that we are doing this inconsistent with legal counsel's advice. And I think that is relevant to understanding why that I don't think rescinding this is warranted. Specifically, that the purpose why we did what we did is because I think a lot of the information that Ms. Manis explained is that by getting this $20 million loan, and if it was a USDA approved loan, that would bar the ability of our city to have any input on what water goes into those pipes to the residents. And if RCH was incapable of supplying that water, we could not step in because we're not party to that agreement. That's why we did what we did. And as far as what we are trying to do as far as the plan was to try to find an adequate supply of drinking water for everybody in Sonoma Verde, not excluding RCH, but pulling in other sources, which would have included blackland. So the game plan was to try to protect the ability of the city to identify who supplies water to Sonoma Verde residents. And that was where we wanted to go with it. This is...
I mean, if he's explaining his rationale for what he's going to vote on that, then I mean, I think it's relevant to what he's talking about. I mean, whether he's right or wrong, that's a different discussion than his rationale.
And it's for those reasons that I think terminating this was the right approach, but leaving the door open to negotiate a mutually acceptable contract with RCH to supply water going forward. That's my rationale for rescinding it.
Thank you. Mr. McLendon? Mr. Brewer, do you have anything?
Yeah, I'll just say I voted against this, but the main reason is because the agreement dictated the method of resolution. If there's a conflict, we go to mediation. We don't set a time limit to say we're going to breach the contract, which I guess is in a few days, and we don't have a backup plan. It says we're going to breach the contract in 60 days, even though the contract specifically says the method of resolution is through mediation. And you know, we were in speaking terms with RCH at the beginning, but now it's gone so far to the other side. The only ones who are benefiting from this are the attorneys, quite frankly. That's it.
Mayor, can we make sure that we point out it's not this attorney that's benefiting? Can we just?
So pointed out. Mr. Day.
Yeah, I'm not on the water committee, but I've gotten a lot of information. I'm a little confused by some of the comments that I'm getting from the public, which is informing a lot of the decision making I've got here. The public has the impression that we are ignoring our legal counsel. This is not against our legal counsel. This is information that came from you, Mr. Mayor. That's information you put out. We are absolutely consistent with legal counsel, as far as I can tell. The water committee, you can ask them when they come up. They're going to say the same thing. They said that if you want to make sure that the title that the city has to those pipes, which they've received from taxpayers in the city for their benefit, remain unencumbered, we had to take action. And that's what we did. So I don't know why you were telling them that, and I know because I saw it on Facebook that you posted it, that we were going against our own legal counsel. That was false. That was a falsehood. And I'm perplexed by this. The $100,000 on lawsuits, that's not this city council. There was $30,000 in fees on the previous city council, not $100,000. But those numbers are public. Those numbers are public. I'm not pulling them out of anywhere. Those are the numbers. You know, one person said, with respect to how are we going to save more money, there are actually lots of ways to save a lot of money, which we'll get into a little bit later. I'm having difficulty understanding what's changed in the last 60 days that makes us, that changes the legal conditions under which we decided to go ahead and cancel this, other than the fact that a lot of misinformation has been pushed out. It is not true that RCH has been willing to work with us. They have never had an open hand to talking to us. They will talk to you, but you have been campaigning for them since the beginning. They will not talk to the people that are representing the city. And they're concerned. When the time comes, you can speak. You can talk about that later. With respect to the situation that we have here, I see no changes. The misinformation that is out there is to the detriment of the people out here. They don't understand that they're imperiled by some of the actions that are being taken by RCH, and we're seeking to simply remedy those things. And when I see that risk to the people of the city is removed, then fine. And if that's through a new contract, then fine. But this contract has failed to environmentally protect, to provide governance protection, or to provide adequate water supply to the people here. And for them to lock it in for 20 to 30 years and bury it underneath a $40 million loan. A $40 million loan. I think that's unconscionable. And I think that needs to be worked out before we go into any type of deal. The current contract is a cheat's charter, and it's going to go away.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem.
I'm going to be consistent with two of the advocates up here, is that our legal counsel suggested that we vote in this fashion. And so I think we are following, contrary to some individual people speaking out there on Facebook, that we are following our legal counsel on this, and we have been during the duration of all conversations. regarding water since we've gotten on the committee. I've gotten on the committee. So I just want to reiterate that we are not going against council. The cost of water, I think, is something that people aren't making a consideration for, and I think in the future we'll be advocating, trying to propose there are alternatives and that the cost of water can be reduced by seeking those alternatives in the future. And yes, I did have to pull my 7.7 this evening, but we'll return on the next meeting in December with some refinement. I believe that what you're missing in terms of RCH has not been consistent in trying to work with us, even though many people believe they have. I've been on the Water Committee. I've spoken to David Naylor and company. There have been numerous occasions where I've requested information. They have not been providing that information, financial information, a wealth of other requests, never fulfilled. So those things aren't evidenced in the public forum very often, but I'm going to say that if I have spoken to, say, High Point or Blackland, even Rockwall, I've asked for information, and those folks in that represent each of those entities have been very readily made available that information to me without any kind of recourse. And so it's delightful to work with them. RCH has been resistant at every turn. I've made PIR requests, FOIA type requests, and they've never provided me with any submissions, any information. So their transparency, I realize that there's a lot of advocates here for RCH. However, I think you all need to maybe question their transparency and really test it. I would suggest that somebody make a request for their audit, for example. No. That's a summary on the website. It's one page. That doesn't constitute an audit. Plus, you don't get to speak. You do that in front. So I'm just saying, request the full audit. Request the full audit. Request the full audit. Request the full audit, and try doing that and see. And I would like to see them supply that within 10 days.
If y'all would like to stay. Hold on.
It was a one-page summary. A one-page
if you'll
summary.
give me
Let's
a
face
second,
it says that on the web page.
I would like to. Hey, we're going to call a recess. Call a recess at 7:55 for 10 minutes. We'll come back at 8:05. We're going to call the meeting back to order in a few minutes. Do we know where Mr. Holla is? With us having Mr. Holla back, we'll go ahead and bring us back out of recess at 8:02. Mr. Tucker, are you finished or? Okay. So that will bring us to me, and I have an envelope here today that's dated 11/12/24, today's date. I wrote on it a prediction. This is my prediction. See if I'm accurate tonight. Council will vote after I call to order by a 2/3 vote to control the meeting and the agenda. Therefore, controlling the dais and pushing out a dictatorship versus a cohesive government. Anytime there are a group that want to control the government and take away the checks and balance, you should take note, because they are showing you that they are not working for the people anymore. That was my prediction, and it looked like it came true. I also have numerous emails from people begging the city to stand down and rescind the vote. I'd like to also point out, I was going to try to stay a little bit calm tonight, but I'm a little upset because I basically have been indirectly called a liar. So let me be clear. In the executive session meeting, our counsel, Mr. Holla, and our water attorney advised us to go back to the table and talk to RCH. Let me be very clear. They advised us to go back to the table and talk to RCH. So to say that that is not what they said is just entirely untrue. It's okay to disagree without being disagreeable. Avoid contention begins with your motives and desires. Proverbs 13:10, only by pride cometh contention. If you care more about winning an argument or being right, then the spirit of contention is almost certain to follow. Mr. Easter, did you not say that North Texas Municipal Water District would not ever give RCH a direct connect? You did. You also said they would never get a loan without financials, but yet they did. You said the PUC would grant the city the control. They didn't. You're 0-3. What makes you think the city should trust your now votes? Mr. McLendon. Mr. McLendon, you have been on emails without ever being on the water committee. You are privy to information above the rest of the council. Your opportunity to attend these meetings without other council put us at a disadvantage on every vote. After Councilmember Tucker was put back on the water committee, you were blind copied by then Mayor Pro Tem on every email. Which, by the way, you also sent emails to this council with our attorney, and you blind copied the past mayor and Mayor Pro Tem. Mr. Day, you're vindictive with personal vendetta because RCH sent a letter.
What letter?
When RCH sent the letter to this council, your vendetta then began because you were saying these extraordinary gentlemen, and you dumped into the fight. There you go. You state that the city can protect assets and such, however, RCH cannot. The deal is, RCH has made it very clear they are not using the pipes in Sonoma Verde. They are not using the pipes in Sonoma Verde. They are using the revenues. Mr. Tucker, you have clearly stated that the city should control the water. Here's where I'm at on this. There are no other options but RCH. Blackland Water Supply Company and myself speak quite often. I speak to the board president who makes the calls, not the general manager. The general manager can promise you everything under the sun, but if the board doesn't approve it, then I guess it doesn't matter what he promised you in the first place. This isn't, you claim this isn't about David Naylor, but yet in the very same breath you'll state you do not like him. And then you want to tell me you're objective on the water committee. I have never been more appalled than how we have done this than I am today. What you have been successful in doing is alienating us from Rockwall. You have made it very, I have spoke to Mary Smith at Rockwall, and she has made it very clear that she will not meet with the water committee without me being present.
Is that because you have no authority to be meeting with Mary Smith?
Oh, I do.
Outside of your own purview.
Yeah,
we report to council, and it's council who has a complete authority over water issues.
I'm glad you brought that up.
You have no authority when it comes to water. You can speak to whomever you wish.
You clearly have none either if no one wants to speak. You clearly have none either if no one wants to speak to you.
I have not heard that from Mary Smith. She has not said that to me. She may have had a private conversation. I can call her tomorrow and I'll ask her that specifically. And I'll let her know who has the authority on this council when it comes to water issues.
Yeah.
You do not.
Yes, I do have the authority to speak.
You have the authority to talk to individuals out there. There is no doubt. But in terms of reporting to council, and council has overall authority in terms of voting on water issues.
When you have the meetings, from what I understand, the water committee is supposed to be made up of 3 citizens. Have you had any of those?
We have had no complaints from council in terms of what Michael and I have done in terms of meeting other individuals or parties or entities and having discussions with them.
All I'm asking is if you've had 3 citizens at any of the meetings, which you told me that I needed to go research what the committee was about. So I did.
As I said, the council has had no complaints and they have not passed any kind of
question. The question is,
that.
Have you had citizens at any of your meetings?
I have. We have had one meeting, I think, and it was the defunct commission at that point in time. This is not an operational, something you can operate with when you're having.
So here's the thing, folks. At the end of the day, I have been transparent. I have been honest. And I can tell you right now, I'm going to hold that because I don't want to say it. I'm doing my best. But I can tell you, Councilmember Brewer is working hard for you. He is hearing you, and he is listening to you. I am your mayor, and I am doing my hardest to work for you. And I will remain transparent, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. You made the vote. This was the path you wanted, was somebody who was going to come in and try to bring some unity and complete the process by working alongside RCH. The accusations of I'm in their pocket or in bed with them are laughable at this point. I do pay my water bill.
Why is it that you continue to see RCH as the only viable option here? You've excluded all other possible options. You've been consistent in arguing that you're consistent in saying that RCH is the only solution.
I'm very consistent in it because they have proven that they are. You have not shown me anyone else.
That is entirely, we had meetings
You
back
have not.
here. They presented,
You
and
had a
I gave
meeting-
them a month's notice to provide me with financials, income statements, all the expenses that are involved with running their company. They came to that meeting with nothing.
Dan,
Absolutely nothing.
all I'm
If I
asking
go to
is,
Blackland,
then
I've
show
requested
me
the
the
same information,
plan.
and
Show
I've
me the
gotten them.
plan.
You'll have your plan on the 12th next month.
Okay, so we've been talking about water since 2022, and you don't have
your
a plan?
You will have your plan, and you'll be able to do what you want with it, okay? This will be my plan,
The member,
independent.
it'll be his
and I'll
plan, not the
present.
people's plan. Hear that.
I am hoping that,
Hear that.
the people will respond to that.
Hear
It's not-
that.
It will be a plan.
If
that
they're
I'm hoping
saying
the people-
me and I,
guess
then it
what?
is never
They
about
have-
you.
They have
And
the
if they're
ability-
looking at
they'll
me
have the
and not
ability
looking at
to
you,
either
that should
take
tell
that
you
plan
something.
and run
When
with it
I
or
speak,
not.
I look at the people.
Sit the down.
So anyway, that's where I'm at. You know, this is, yeah.
I do have a question, though. What letter are you referring to with respect to Councilman Day? Was that the RCH letter that came in?
Yes.
On a Friday that had information from an agenda that had yet to be posted? How did they get that?
You know what? I've already answered that, but I'll answer it again.
Okay.
I reached out to a board member of RCH, and I asked him for information related to that agenda item. No different than we would do for any other person that has something on the agenda coming up to get information. No different than Asa would reach out, no different than Angela would reach out, no different than I would reach out.
So did you send him the agenda item because it actually had a typo in it?
Yeah, I certainly did.
Okay. Thank you for enlightening us. on that.
I've never
Oh, by the way,
deviated.
and you also mentioned that you talked to the RCH attorney. Which attorney was that?
I'm sorry?
You mentioned to Dan and I that you talked to an RCH attorney.
I did.
Who was that?
That was Jim Bradbury.
Okay.
You know, what's funny is, you know, I had asked Dan one time what attorney he was taking counsel from, because it wasn't Mr. Holla and it wasn't Emily Rogers. I never got that answer either.
I told you I was taking counsel from a personal counselor, and it wasn't Mike.
Then who was it?
I don't need to divulge that information.
See, there you go, people. There you go, people. There you go.
It was not Mike.
You know what, folks? Well, I mean, I guess at this point we've got the motion, and we'll see let's see how they vote, unless anyone else has anything to add.
Well, no, I just want to clarify. I mean, you know, you did say you put out a lot of misinformation this last week. A lot of these people are here based upon that. I mean, it's egregious what you put out there. In fact, we'll probably even watch the video a little bit later just so we can go over it, because that's kind of insane. I mean, I don't question your I'm not gonna say it. I'm gonna dial back on this. With respect to RCH as a company, if a contract can be negotiated that is favorable to the city rather than the Cheats charter that is currently in existence, then fine. We'll sign it. We'll go that direction. They don't want to go that way. They want to hold that advantage and borrow against the city's assets. It's not in their interest to give up that collateral, which is why they're holding on to it. They're not coming out saying, we're not doing this, we're doing whatever. The only person who's saying that is you. So who are you representing here? The fact that the letter that pissed me off, that you're talking about, where it went out to Bradbury, came back, and then they immediately threatened to sue with the information you provided from executive sessions, two of these board members. No, the information within their threat, which was not made public, it was made to us, but RCH only put a half response onto their website. The full, you guys should release that, by the way. The public should see that whole thing.
We'll be working on that.
Because they didn't want the idea that a competitor could come in and give these people a better cost, quicker water, and that they could get it without having to encumber a $40 million loan.
Let me ask you this. how do you get it cheaper? That's a if that I want to
We've
hear. I
been
think all of
working with our water
McLendon-Chisholm are here.
providers for 2 years. It's common knowledge.
So
You don't have to be a savant to figure this out.
Yeah,
We've
I'm
been
certainly
talking
not a
about it in open
savant.
session for years.
Yeah,
and you're acting like it's some secret. It's not.
No, it's definitely not. It seems like
And
it is, but it's not. So my question is,
So
you
just-
say you can get it cheaper. So here, let me ask
You
this.
can look at the rate sheet. It's published. It's public.
Okay, I'm next to you. The thing about it is, it's very simple. You keep saying that you can get it cheaper, but I don't see how you can, because where's the water going to come from?
Here's
who has the pipes to get that water to Sonoma Verde right now?
Let's.
No, I mean, like, I'm just asking, who has the means to get the water to Sonoma Verde right now?
I'll let these guys answer. Then I'll
No,
come back
I
to
mean,
this.
it's RCH. I mean, just say it. It's RCH.
No, hold on. Are you saying right now, today?
Oh, that's the question. Who right now? Who's supplying the water to Sonoma
that's where
Verde?
we're going. What we were trying to do is get Blackland to come over until they got
Trying
sued,
to get
until they
Blackland
got
to
sued
come
by RCH, and now they're stopping. So where everyone's at now, RCH is going to have this summer to have another year of being unable to supply water to Sonoma Verde. If this wouldn't have happened, we could have had a pipeline over there, and we could have been able to have adequate water for the entirety of Sonoma Verde. But now we can't. That's the issue.
Yeah, I don't.
And that's
I don't
also
think that
because
would have happened.
somebody let RCH know, hey, why don't you buy this land over here so that we can block the pipeline? I'm not saying you did it, that there's some issues.
Did you talk to the homeowner of that property? Have you ever talked to the? Have you ever talked to the homeowner of that
not.
property? I have.
Okay.
I have, and she was in tears with the way she was treated by Blackland Water Supply Company's Scott Mokumstrom. In tears. They were offering her $40,000 for the right-of-way. $40,000 for the right-of-way. When she asked, would you purchase the land? They said, no, that's not what we want to do. She was worried that if they did that to her property, that she would never be able to sell that land for the full value. RCH bought the land because she wanted to sell the whole land. There was no secret leak to RCH from somebody saying, oh, go buy the land. It was an opportunity to buy the land because she wanted to sell the whole land, and Blackland didn't want to buy the whole land. That's just how it was. And you're welcome to reach out to her. So, now that we've had the motion in the second and all this fun discussion, let's see if we'll rescind this bad boy. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And all those who are opposed.
Nay.
Nay.
And there's your double down. Next item, 7.2. Angela.
Public hearing to receive comments regarding a request by Demetri Carter for a replat for a portion of Lot 1, Kentwood Addition, McLendon-Chisholm, Rockwall County, Texas, to create a new Lot 1A. The existing property is zoned 2.5 single-family residential. This property is generally located adjacent to and west of FM 1139, across from FM 1139 from Springway. Rockwall County, Rockwall CAD property ID number 18429.
It is 8:20, and this public hearing is open. And if no one wishes to speak, we will close the public hearing. Item 7.3, Angela.
Discuss and consider approving the Encore Master Street Light and Maintenance Agreement.
Good evening, everyone. I promise, I'm just talking about streetlights. That's all I got to do.
We're going to let us take a quick motion on it and get the second, and then we'll open it up for discussion.
Sure.
I'll take a motion. Second?
I'll second.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
All right, hey guys, I am the area manager for Encore. And basically, Conrad invited me to talk about the new service agreement that Encore is asking for you guys to sign. Basically, our manufacturers and just the industry in general is moving away from HPS lights. We're not going to be able to have them anymore. So Encore is now going to be moving to LED lights. So any street lights that begin to fail, we are going to be converting to LED. So this is going to happen regardless of if you guys sign or not. All this form, it basically is just to get a master agreement for the 53 street lights that you guys have in McLendon-Chisholm, that as they fail, it's not when they fail, basically a component within that street light, not just the actual light bulb, but we will come out and we will replace that. So it's going to be like for like. So if you have a 100-watt HPS, we'll replace it with something similar that's an LED. So I know that a lot of the questions that we have are LED HPS is going to look a little bit different, obviously, as we change them out. If the city did want to do some sort of a conversion for all of their 53 lights, there would be a cost to that, but that is something that we could do. But Encore will only cover as they fail. So we'll be switching over to LEDs. So essentially, if you, let's say y'all didn't want to sign today, all that does is just create a little bit more of work for y'all, because as they fail, every single street light, we're gonna have to come to you and have you sign a supplement. So this basically just covers all 53. We're gonna convert like for like. That's all this agreement is. And so the only thing that you guys will see that would be a little bit different would be the LED rate. For 39 of your lights, you guys have 100 HPS, which would be Cobra heads, and actually that rate would go down, but I have given Conrad a sheet, and you guys could actually go through and see what the different rates would be, but that would be through your rep. Your rep sets those rates. But really, that's pretty straightforward as to what that agreement's for. If you guys have any questions, I can answer those.
Mr. Easter.
I have no questions.
Mr. McLendon.
What's the lifespan of the lights typically?
Sure, so the HPS and the LED, so they both have the same time frame, so 15 to 20 years. The difference though for the LED is that typically the light bulb will stay on for its lifetime versus an HPS will be anywhere from 4 to 6 times that we have to go out and replace that bulb itself.
Thank you.
Mr. Brewer.
No, sir.
Mr. Day.
Yeah, can you make a comment about the coloration of the lights and the intensity of the lights in the evening? We're concerned about dark skies in the city. We're actually considering writing a dark sky ordinance at some point in the coming months. So I wanted to run that by you and see what your input was on that.
Sure, so dark sky, when you say an ordinance against them, for them?
We want to preserve our dark skies.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so absolutely. We do have the conversion for that as well. Actually on the sheet you'll see at the bottom, it'll discuss basically we have 300 Kelvin and 400 Kelvin options for LEDs for those dark skies. And if you'd like, after this meeting, I can send y'all an email that has kind of what that'll actually look like, the actual setup of those lights as well, and I can send that to y'all.
I would love that. Thank you.
For sure.
So if that's an option for dark sky, is there extra cost for that replacement?
There would be, so it would depend on what the light is. There would be a removal cost, but you guys do have an allowance for actually doing the conversion. So it's just the removal cost, but we would just treat it like any other, it's a request. You guys want to have the dark sky, we would go through that process. So you guys have the allowance. I think my street light support group said that it would only be the removal. And then we would do a different page that would be a different maintenance agreement, but for dark sky. And we don't have that ready yet because Encore literally just started doing that within the last 6-7 months. So we could do a specific call with City Council if y'all wanted, with the folks that could give more information on dark sky if needed.
Thank you.
There's no other discussion. I'll entertain a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Show that unanimous. Thank you. Angela, will be 7.4 up next.
Discuss and consider road repair funding request on Connie, Smith, and possibly Edwards Road.
I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second. Mr. Easter.
I'll second.
Conrad.
Okay, thank you, Mayor and members of the council. With this road repair, the city is continuing to get on a regular basis multiple calls from people within the city as well as in our ETJ and outside. As you know, we have done previously a road analysis and have placed these roads. However, we've looked at these roads and the cost per repair of these roads that were done incorrectly whenever they were done. They were old county roads. Is approximately $1 million a mile to repair them. Very expensive, and the city's ability to do that is prohibited, or at least inhibited. But I mean, definitely we can go different routes of trying to get that. We've had some estimates given to us. Right now, some of the major roads that we have are Klutz Road, and if you've been on Klutz Road in the last few days, you'll notice that the city no longer has dirt roads in its city, public roads. Its Klutz Road is fixed and very nice right now. The dirt portion of it, and the council had previously approved that, and Texas Chili, the contractor who won the bid that you approved, did that. We were going to ask you, and still are asking you, because I haven't heard specifically. I think oh no, he's here. Is it all right if I have him come up? Our engineer, can you come up and this is Jeff's cousin, Jeremy. Last name White. His firm oversaw the inspection and did all the information for procurement and from the start to the finish of Klutz Road. We appreciate it. That's SPI Engineering is who he represents on his shirt. I'm not sure if Texas Chili is still in town to do what I was going to request, or if that's a mute issue.
Yeah, they've completed the base bid of the contract, but they are on standby to do this additional work.
Great.
If approved by the council tonight.
I didn't see any of their equipment or anything around, so I thought maybe they went
They'll
back.
be bringing a little bit different equipment in to do that, but they're just on standby.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much. So with every contract, there's an availability by Texas state law to have amendments to the contract to add as they see different things going on. One of the things was on a bridge area that was outside the dirt on Klutz Road. But we've had some very serious issues on Connie Road right now. If you drive on Connie Road in a bicycle or a motorcycle at night, even during the day, good luck to you. If you drive, you can see cars weaving back and forth along the roads, and cars honking because cars are going right at them to stay out of all the ruts. And we have ruts not dissimilar to what you've approved recently for Pullen Road. And please, if you haven't gone on Pullen Road, those improvements, basically patches. It doesn't fix any of the roads. We're not asking you to fix the entire roads. We're not asking to give $1 million a mile. We're just asking the council to give us the ability to take up to 25%, which is approximately 48,000, a little under, of the given contract, and use those to put patches on Connie Road, to go as far as we can on the roads that we have. I don't think it's going to go very far, but as much as we can to help our residents that are driving on these roads that are just really and not in good repair, very poor repair. We also would like to ask at this time that the council takes $100,000 out of unrestricted fund balance, where the city currently has $5,496,000 there for road maintenance. I know there are lots of other things, including the payoff of this building and other lots of really viable and good things. And even though it sounds like, wow, the city has all that,
it really doesn't. I mean, when you start wanting to do things, I mean, road repair, we spend that in a heartbeat. If we start paying off the cost of City Hall, we win. We don't have to pay the debt service anymore, but we have that much less, which is just a little over $1 million to pay it off. So we're asking for $100,000 to do some Band-Aids around the city, not dissimilar to what you've seen on Pullen Road recently that you've approved. So to utilize the whole request of this agenda item is to approve the 25% that's allowable by state law, to amend the contract, as well as an additional $100,000 of unrestricted fund balance. So, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mayor.
Mr. Easter.
No, I don't have.
Mr. McLendon.
So you're saying if we were to repair all the roads that we need to repair, it would be 1 million or per mile? So what's the total distance of the roads that we need to repair? Do we know that?
So in the consent agenda, one of those items was to approve like a master plan to do exactly answer those questions right now of the roads in the city, to sort of get cost estimates and do that, if that's what the council wants. But yeah, just Connie Road is I think it was like 2 million. I shouldn't ask him because he didn't come prepared for this. The problem is this. We have two problems. One is that they're old county roads and they weren't built to handle all the new growth, the construction, the big trucks, the heavy trucks, and it isn't just the passenger vehicle that's causing all this, but at the same time it's Mother Nature, it's the rain, it causes, I think the technical is bird bass in the road where it sinks in the water, and water is not a friend to the roads. It gets down and cracks it and makes it sink. So all these roads that we're talking about, which aren't a lot, but they still represent a lot of money, is that we need to take it down to the base and design it properly, make sure it's built properly. We've been over across the street as they're building theirs and are verifying that they're doing the right job. SBI's been over there, so we're not going to have the problem. Call me back in 20 years, 30 years, and across the street's going to be looking very good because we're doing it right at the start. These were old country roads that didn't have to think that we have to make it to this certain standard as because we had 150 cars on the road instead of 950. And so these are connector roads that we're talking about, and some of these roads, half the road belongs to Centerline, belongs to the county, and half of them belong to the city. We're in the process of getting with the county and saying, we need to figure this out. It's been an issue here in the city for a number of years, and the county has done some work. I'm not going to say the county hasn't come to the plate, but we have to work it out because the county is ready to give us all the roads. You guys take it.
How long is the projected time for the patches to last? Do we know?
Well, it's all based on the travel of the road and the weather, and if you drive down the road, it's kind of cool. I didn't know this until a few months or whatever ago. As you have trees and other vegetation close to the road, which most people drive and say, God, this is so cool. This nice rural feel, and I feel that way. But people building roads say, nope, you cut it all the way back. You cut it 10 feet, 20 feet on the side because the root system is digging underneath those roads and causing issues and problems, and they start to crumble sooner. So even the root systems, based on the type of road, you go to somewhere where there's not vegetation right next to them, and the roads are in better shape. So the bases and crowning the roads and bringing it down so the water runs down and off and into the grassy swales or the collection of floodwater are important. So there's a lot of things that you have to think about on figuring out what the livelihood. So specific patches, I mean, based on the traffic from the construction or from others, and if we have a development and we invite another 900 cars a day onto one of these roads or something, they go faster. But we hope that, I won't come back on 20 years worth of patches, but we hope that they last a year or 2, 3 at the most probably on these, and that's our strong hope that we get this
Thank you.
Mr. Brewer.
No, sir.
Mr. Day.
I think I'm good with the report I have.
Mr. Tucker.
Just a couple questions. On Edwards and Connie, I believe both of those are owned by the county and the city. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and then Smith is entirely owned by the city, if I recall.
Parts of Smith. I mean, there's some county parts of Smith as well.
Okay.
But there are parts where it's Smith, all city, and then it goes city, county, and
Probably as you're going further
Wellington
south.
Manor is in the county and other places. Yeah.
Of these roads, and maybe Mr. White can testify to this, is there a sense of priority for these particular roads? I've been down all these roads, and certainly Connie rises to the surface for me. I mean, on the immediate, it seems to be the worst road of them all. So maybe I could get your insights, Mr. White? I'm sure you've gone down each of these streets. Or
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And what's your personal estimation of these roads in terms of which might demand a priority in terms of a patch, at least this case here?
Yes, sir. Yeah, and for the record, Jeremy White with Schomburg and Polk, SBI for short. We had the opportunity to have a meeting with the city administrator, yourself, Mr. Tucker, and the mayor a few weeks back, and we talked about kind of what an action plan would look like for the city in developing a CIP. And with that, my company is currently working on a proposal to bring forth to the city, hopefully here for you guys to consider this next month. But that would involve putting together a capital improvement plan and actually developing a prioritization list where we've gone through and developed key metrics that allow the city to determine these are key items that we want to evaluate the streets in order to determine which ones rise to the top of the list. So whether it's traffic, how big the thoroughfare is going to be in the future, whether you have developments that are, adjacent to it, today or, in the future. So as we work to develop that'll put those projects up to the top. Like Connie itself and Smith, the city administrator Conrad asked us to pull together some cost estimates in this last year, and we developed those, and that's kind of where you're getting that roughly like $1 million a mile, and that's just kind of reconstructing what's there today. But a capital improvement plan would do more at looking at a long-term solution, saying, hey, what's the ultimate roadway section that you guys want to achieve out there for this as development goes on, and then determining is that the best thing we want to do, or do we want to look at just kind of a road repair section today. So kind of hope that answers your question.
Seems like it has almost a 45-degree tilt to it as you go down, one side being county, the other side being belonging to McLendon-Chisholm. Have we had any conversations, if we're going to go and do these repairs, have we had any conversations with county to maybe come along our side at the same time and maybe do some repairs on their portion of these roads?
Okay, we've had over the past couple of years multiple discussions with Rockwell County and our county commissioner, Mr. Bailey, who's been excellent to work with. Pretty much it's been all county that's been doing repairs out there and not the city. However, what we hope to do is bring them up to our city standards instead of do it. I mean, some of the things that the county have done were excellent for a while, as Councilmember McLendon said, but now they're failing miserably because the Band-Aids get torn off. So,
I have no more questions. Thank you, Jeremy.
All right, well, since we've had the motion in a second, we'll take it to a vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 And that shows to be unanimous. That will take us to item 7.5. Whenever you're ready, Angela.
Discuss and consider approval of the request of Demetra Carter for the replat of Lot 1 of the Kentwood addition to create Lot 1A.
I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
I'll second.
Okay, so that will take us to Conrad on this one.
okay, thank you, Mayor and members of the council. I noticed the mayor smiling when I was talking too much. He talks to me about talking too much, but I like to give you a sort of a history, and so you understand it better. But I will immediately turn it over to our city planner, Asa Woodbury, so he can give the information about this.
Thank you, Conrad, Mayor, members of the council. So the request is for the approval of a portion of Lot 1 for the Kentwood addition to create a new Lot 1A in this subdivision. So we've reviewed this. It is in compliance with our subdivision regulations. There was an approval from the Planning and Zoning Commission, and the staff recommends approval. What we're doing here is just separating a piece of property into two lots. Essentially, we're taking one piece of land and making it two lots. That is what this is. That's what this replat is for. And so with that, staff recommends approval. It came with the approval from the Planning and Zoning Commission, and that concludes my staff report.
Thank you, Asa. Mr. Easter.
Yes, sir, thank you. I'm trying to understand this replatting. Is there any legal basis that we would not be able to replat this as requested?
No, not from my understanding. No, I will defer to our city attorney on that.
But it's my
thank you, Asa.
And my understanding is a general matter, so long as there's no legal prohibition or something blocking it, that it's kind of a ministerial duty that a city has.
So under 212.001, they define replat. There's a definition of plat, and replat is included in there. So all the rules that apply to a plat in Chapter 212 Local Government Code also apply to a replat. And under 212.009, in essence, there's two questions. It's a ministerial duty for plats. There's no discretion, no choice. You know, why they did it that way, why it even has to go to council, I don't know, but that's what they did in their infinite wisdom. I'm not on any video, so I can use air quotes. They said that's the way it's going to be. So if it's administratively complete, which means it's stapled in the right spot, it's got the right number of copies, the filing fee's been paid, all that stuff, and then second, it complies with our subdivision ordinance, then it's ministerial, and the council doesn't have the legislative body, decision-making authority, doesn't have any discretion, and they have to approve it.
No, thank you. And I know that we had a number of speakers that were concerned about downstream effects should there be some development. I mean, I'm sensitive to those sorts of concerns, but is there an opportunity if that were to happen, it's somewhat speculative, that would be addressed?
The streaming
issues? There was some speakers, I thought, that were concerned about downstream effects if there was building on some of this because of its proximity to the dam.
Well, now you're talking about a whole lot. You're talking about
But what I wanted to make sure of is that if there is something built, there's going to be multiple other opportunities to review the potential impacts associated with any development. All we're doing is putting a line on a page, right?
This has no bearing, no ruling, no opinion, no nothing on anything that may or may not be built there. It is simply, as Asa said, can they take one lot and make it two? That's in essence of what we're talking about. Anything else in terms of building, they're still going to have to comply with the subdivision ordinance. They'll still have to get a building permit. They'll still have to go through
There's more
all of
bites
that.
at the apple to address the potential harms that people had identified. I just want to make sure that there's going to be that. Okay, that's all.
Yeah.
I don't mean to belabor the point.
Question.
Thank you for not being Conrad. We appreciate that.
Question before I go to Mr. McLendon. Just so I can understand and people can understand, there's a difference between the plat and the final plat, right? Do they both have to be stapled, everything great, or is it the final plat? Because I think a lot of people will say it's the final plat, so I just want to make sure that we all are on the same page.
I love that you asked that question. Now, I don't know if Asa wants to comment on it or not, if he's going to put it back to me, but if he doesn't, I'll go ahead and field it. There is nothing in law anywhere that defines preliminary plat or final plat or anything like that. Okay, it just says plat. So there's no specific distinction or rules for preliminary plats versus final plats and vice versa. So if the preliminary plat, and the way most cities do it, and I think it's a good thing, if the preliminary plat is done and there are issues with, let's say it's all complied with and pretty much you've got to stamp it for the final plat. But during the preliminary plat and the final plat stage, if there are issues that arise, there are, in certain situations, legal stipulations you can put on the approval of the final plat. Okay? I mean, they got to be laid out in your subdivision ordinance, and this is the advantage of preliminary plat. Let's say you don't realize it at the time of the preliminary plat, and then things happen and things are moving, and this is kind of one of the check boxes you're talking about. Oh, well, we realize, hey, the stipulation, our subdivision ordinance, let's just put on there is 1 and 2, and we see we need that, so we'll approve the final plat subject to these two stipulations being added.
Thank you. I just want to make sure everyone's on the same page. Mr. McLendon? Mr. Brewer?
I think I was following Mr. Holla. So I was just looking at the documentation in the backup, and it said a note, it said a replat is correct. Right. Okay.
Mr. Day?
Yeah, I've actually had the opportunity to visit the property and to review the application very carefully. From what I can tell, there's no flooding concerns out there. There is an outlet for the dam, but nobody would ever build in that area. It doesn't. The conditions brought up by Mr. Carter with respect to the elevation of the water behind the dam as not being a problem for flooding is true, because the receiving the spillway actually comes in. The main spillway actually takes the water down into the pipe at a very low elevation. If it was ever get clogged, it would still go around to the complete other side of the dam. In terms of the results from Soil and Water Conservation Service, it has been reviewed by Encore. He found no problem. He actually identified a small slope failure, but it was a very old one, and it is completely stabilized at this point. I'm not concerned at all. As far as I'm concerned, this is a slam dunk, easy vote.
Thanks, sir. Mayor Pro Tem?
Yeah, I'm relieved that Mr. Cantrell, who is the technician associated with the Van Zandt SWCD district, he also worked on evaluating our own dam during the rains this past year. We felt very confident in his insights, and he's looked at this and he doesn't see any difficulty in terms of the replat, which makes I'm pretty assured by that.
All right. There's no further discussion. We'll take it to a vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 All right. Show that unanimous. All right. That will bring us to item 7.6. Angela.
Discuss and debate mayor's proposed water plan as presented in videos on Facebook.
All right, so this is a discuss and debate, so there's no motion or vote.
Yeah, that's correct, actually. The reason why I brought it up is I received several phone calls and text messages from constituents who I don't normally hear from, but, you know, they reach out and they said, I thought you said, and that you don't support this, that, and the other, and I saw the mayor's video, and so I said, well, that's the mayor's plan, and honestly, we probably should have a conversation about this, and to back it, you know, to go back to back with what Mr. Tucker is going to probably talk about, you know, building his own sandbox. But it looks like you're proposing a sandbox of an idea. I pulled the video from Facebook. The Facebook video has been uploaded to the city. I believe, Mr. Woodbury, do you have it? You have it. Now, I don't know which one it is. There's two videos I uploaded because I wasn't sure which one the city would want to avail itself of. The smaller one is a 3-minute-ish video. He only talks about the water plan for about a minute, so it's probably started about the 1:30 mark. And then the mayor at that point can take it from there. This is just you. No, I got it. I'm giving you a podium.
Great, there's no debate.
I can't see it, Angela. You want me to walk over there? Let me walk over there.
Of the people, then the leaders of that nation are the people. Or in this case, hello, folks. It's surprising. Ideals work. If we choose not to collaborate as a team, it is physical. In my last video, I called on the council to share the objectives, talk on common ground. I am confident that if we work together, we can avoid the path of division. The council wants to protect us for these assets. Negotiations with RCH. But instead, we stepped into uncharted waters by choosing to cancel the contract with RCH, Sonoma Verde, and the city. This move has significant time, money, and energy costs with an unknown outcome. Should we let a judge decide our fate, or should we have found a solution at the table? I have concerns. The council voted to terminate the contract instead of entering into mediation. That decision has set us on a risky path. And hypothetically, if the city wants to negotiate with RCH, it seems the goal is to control the water supply to Sonoma Verde. But this would mean the city would have to buy the same water from RCH. They would have to mark it up and resell it to Sonoma Verde. This would likely result in higher rates for the same water, plus the city would need to establish a billing system, adding even more cost. The residents of Sonoma Verde could end up paying more while the city risks imposing water restrictions if we don't even secure enough supply. Alternatively, we could let RCH complete their work while preparing McLendon-Chisholm to establish its own CCN. I propose we create a utility fund in the fiscal year 26 budget to start building capital for that purpose. Over the next 5 years, we can gradually take over the billing from all the water providers within the city limits, earning a small fee to continue to grow the utility fund. This fund could eventually support a public works department and the infrastructure needed to establish our own CCN. This doesn't have to be divisive or difficult. Even if we plan for a 20-year horizon, we'd have time to pay off loans, finish PIT bonds, and streamline operations for everyone involved.
So the reason why this was brought up to people was because the reason why this was brought up by people was they repeatedly asked me, is the city intending to take over water? And a lot of people brought that up earlier. And my repose is no. I've been saying that for a very long time. This seems to take a different course. Do you want to make any comments or talk about what you're thinking about here? I received a lot of comments about it. You guys default to that. All right, we're doing that. Gentlemen, Water Committee guys, you guys want to?
No, it looks like there's a 20-year plan, I guess, to eventually have the city obtain its own CCN, and in doing so, it would have to displace RCH. I know that an adjacent city did this years ago, which is Heath, going back to '97, I believe, and there was a 2-year litigation when it came to that. So I don't see this as being something that in 20 years that RCH is going to be accommodating and just turn their properties over to the city without a fight.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I do have a question on this. As far as your thoughts on the city operating a water supply company, I'm wondering how that's going to be accomplished if they have this loan. It's a 1926B sort of thing. That were you envisioning that loan would have been paid off, or how would the city have any ability to manage or have any control over it if there's a federal loan sitting on top of it? That's kind of what I didn't quite understand. Because that's kind of what my concern is. If there's a way that you can bypass that, then that might be a means by which to find some middle ground or to, avoid all of this. That's what I want to understand.
Yeah. Not really looking to debate the video.
No, I'm not debating the video.
But you know what? I will answer your question though. One way to avoid it would have been to rescind the plan tonight, but that didn't happen. It's ironic that I said over 20 years because I guess that loan would be paid off in 20 years. But I digress. I mean, there's really nothing to say. It's just a plan. It's not the plan. It's a plan. It's just no different than the fire department started out as a tent and became a building. But I mean, I'm not here to debate the plan. I'm not here to debate the videos. I'll continue to make the videos, but they're just thoughts and ideas. It's no different if I had a whiteboard back here and we all wrote down a few ideas on it. I've been asking for a plan since August of 2022, so I at least threw something out there for the people.
No, I mean, I wasn't being critical of the plan. I was trying to understand what your thought process was, given the concern about having our hands tied with this federal loan. And if there's some other way that we can mitigate the problems associated with that federal loan, I shouldn't say problems, limitations, then that's something that I think we ought to be looking into. And I don't know that there's one size that fits all on this thing, and that's kind of what we were trying to identify, is what are some shorter-term alternatives, what's some longer-term alternatives, and how do we get there from here? And if there's this much anxiety and concern over at Sonoma Verde on this, then the real question is okay, if we said to heck with it, let RCH take care of the whole thing. And if it costs a lot more money for people there, so be it. I mean, I don't really,
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, my door's been open since this all began, and I've asked y'all to come and sit down, and y'all don't want to. So I mean, to talk about it here does me no good either. So I'm good. I'm
But
not
that's
gonna
the
comment.
purpose of a public meeting. Like, we're talking about it.
Yeah,
in front of everybody.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. The video spoke. I'm good. I won't comment on it anymore. But y'all are welcome to debate it.
I mean, you're sitting there talking about a plan. You proposed a plan. We're here to talk about your plan, and you don't want to talk about your plan. No. Hold on. First off, I'm not, I know, I'm glad you understand that, and I didn't want to call that out. But, to that point, every single time any type of plan is leaked out, RCH sues the plan, or sues people that they think is related to the plan, or that is part of the market of that plan. A lot of there's a misconception that the city has somehow sued RCH. We have not. We are involved in no litigation with respect to RCH from us towards them. It is the other way around. It is the other way around. We have been sued by them. They have sued their competitors so that they will not talk to us. Okay? That's the facts. So I see a plan like this coming out knowing that this is the background, because we have more information up here than the public does, and maybe the public needs to, they're talking about wanting this information. So why don't you tell them what it is? Because I've heard your plan come out of the mouths of several constituents. I know that Mr. Kippett has been talking to people around town about it. I know that it's been, I ran into Mr. Ritz. He actually mentioned the same thing. He said, what about taking over the water company in 5 years? Because we can't take over the company in 5 years if it's encumbered by a federal loan. That's the problem. So the debt service on a federal loan, is Jeff here? Jeff, $40 million, because that's what it's going to cost. Okay, they've gotten 20 already out. If the city was to take on a $40 million loan, $40 million, a lot of people can't comprehend that number, $40 million, and turn it into a tax. If the city taxed itself to pay back a $40 million loan, how much would we have to increase our tax?
If we turn that into a debt service for the city, you're probably looking at, based on what we paid on our last, the bond for this building, plus the increase in rates, you're probably looking at close to 40 cents per hundred valuation.
So the financial impact is the equivalent of the city council coming forward to everybody and imposing a 40-cent additional tax. So taking the tax rate to 49 cents. Our current rate is 8.9 cents, guys. You guys are happy to get the loan. It's like the people that are always, oh, we got our mortgage, but they hate making the payments for it. There are numerous cheaper alternatives. You guys want to hear the plan? The plan will be coming out. We're looking at trying to do it in a way that works for everybody. But there are people that are so favorable to RCH in here, they can't think about anything other than RCH is the way. I mean, this is what he says. You might as well make a shirt. This is a tax. They are putting a tax on you that is unnecessary. You can get water. All right, now I'm going to back up a little bit. Let's talk about some of the hard numbers here. Well, let's do some round numbers. How much extra water is in the pipes at, say, High Point? How much extra water is just kind of sitting there unencumbered at this point?
4 million gallons.
4 million gallons. How many gallons does of water does RCH actually need?
Depends on
in the summertime, what is kind of a shortfall?
It's probably around 3.1, something like that.
They go to 3.1. What's their current contract? 2.1?
2.3?
2.3, something like that? Let's call it 1 million gallons. They need 1 million gallons. There's 4 million gallons sitting in a pipe right now at High Point that we can't touch. Oh, that's an engineering problem, but it's not a $40 million engineering problem. It's much cheaper than that. It's certainly not going to require 40 cents of additional encumbrance upon the cities in aggravate. Hold on. I'm with you. And what's cheaper? You brought it up earlier. And I agree with you in this principle. Is it more Or is it cheaper to have 3 take points or 2? 2. Is it cheaper to have 2 take points or 1? 1. You have 1 take point that is coming on board in spring of 2026. What was David Naylor's first plan in May of 2023 when I was going into chemotherapy, unfortunately? What was his plan? I'm with David Naylor's 2023 plan. What was it? You guys know what it was. You guys were all talking about it. It was all over Facebook. No, it was his 2023 plan was to broker a deal with Blackland. Blackland was going to bring on an additional 10 million gallons. They're neighboring CCNs. They're friendly with one another. They're paid for. So you're saying that the problem is not engineering, the problem is not the companies, the problem is the people involved in those operations. Whoa, no, you don't have to talk. What I'm talking to you about is what the facts are on the ground. The problem isn't that there isn't water in the pipes and that we can't get it to people. The problem is that the people don't want to get along with each other, so they're going to borrow $40 million and make you pay for it, and they're going to stick it against the city's tab. That's what's going on. I have been trying to tell you guys this since the very beginning. You and Dennis, you're getting it right now. But I have been telling you since I have been telling this public, I've been telling this mayor, I've been telling all of these gentlemen up here every chance I get. A market approach to where people get along. This could be solved through a freaking ILA. And there's people advocating $40 million in debt service? That's absurd. No, I'm not going to dial it down. I'm talking about, no, how big of a pile of money is $40 million? Let's talk about that. I actually freaking added it up because that's the kind of person I am. If you take $40 million bills and stack them up, it's 2.72 miles high. It weighs 44 tons. Your personal contribution to that is 5 feet. You'll owe 5 feet. It's a lot of money. And you guys are pushing and pushing and pushing for borrowing. I shouldn't say you, I'm not supposed to do this. All right, calm down. You wrote something that was actually quite brilliant on Facebook recently. And it was with respect to the debt service that was being taken on by RISD. It was a post by Mr. Bott. Do you remember this? Yes, ma'am, you do. In this case, he was explaining why he felt that the bond failed, and you agreed. You said it's about the economy. It's about all of these things. And I read this and I said, amen to this. Who would have thought this is the same person advocating for $40 million of new debt against the city? I'm with you. I'm on your side. But you're not.
All with respect, and this will be respectful. If you have a plan that's going to save us all money, we love to hear it. This is the first I've heard of it. I'm intrigued.
Yes, ma'am. I appreciate it. Well, thank you.
Taking the vote that you took without presenting the plan to people and getting them behind you gets what you have now. A bunch of people who are confused, don't know what's going on, and are asking you, where's the plan?
So the plan is to do these things, but the problem is every single time we put together any kind of plan that's going to start working for the people, it's going to save you guys tens of millions of dollars. RCH sues the plan. And it's obscene. The information, I'm sorry. I guess I'm confused by that. Yeah, sorry.
The other issue is when you're in litigation, you know, we can't even talk to them about the plan, right? So I mean,
But we're not in litigation. They're in litigation with Blackland, and they're in litigation with us.
Right.
We have not sued them. I want to talk to them. I want them to talk to us.
So we could have done that, but we didn't.
No, we can do that. They
In
have
the
chosen
courtroom.
not to do that.
Yeah, in the
RCH will not come to the table. We have said, you want to mediate? Let's mediate. Let's talk about this. What have they actually done? What have they actually done? Their response is to sue us and say they won't mediate with us, which is a bunch of garbage. We have invited them. We have done everything in our power to get them to come to the table. They do not want to give up their dream of $40 million of issuance of contracts. They are never going to give it up. They want a take point. How much new water do they need? They need 1 million gallons. Their new take point's going to be 14 million gallons. Who are they going to sell that water to? You think they're not out there talking to the developers? You don't think they're talking about high density? Of course they are.
Hey, folks. Well, here's what we'll do: is let's not engage, because the longer we engage, the longer this goes.
No, this is going to go until I'm done.
I clearly see that.
They've been wanting to hear this whole time. You had the chance to speak and to actually give a plan that works. You decided to punt. This was your chance. You say, I want to hear the plan. I'm telling them the plan. They've been wanting to hear about it this whole time. Because the way that you have acted this last week, I had people following me around my house, in my car. No, it's not all here we go with all that.
It's not illegal to follow a car.
I don't. So was it a friend of yours? Then just keep it to yourself. The plan is to find a way to get you water cheaply, quickly, effectively, where it's clean, with great governance, and if it's RCH, fine. But RCH does not need a $40 million loan. It can go and get engaged in contracts with its neighbors if it would just put its swords down and turn them into plows and actually go in and work for you. They are not interested in working for you. They're interested in working for themselves. And that's why we're in litigation with them. Not because we sued them, but because they sued us. Because they do not want us to engage in any market competition on any of this stuff. You guys can make the decisions whether or not you guys want to pay the $40 million. If Sonoma Verde says, you know what? We're happy with paying the highest rate in the county at 8.6 cents. We're happy with not getting our water all the way until 2026, when there were options clearly outlined by the Water Committee saying there was an ability to get this online as soon as 2025, which RCH stifled, which this mayor stifled. Sorry, I'm giving the water plan. It's not a public hearing. I haven't. Nobody's told me to step down. But there are enough people in this room that want to know what the city council is thinking and what we're trying to do. We are working for you. And if you don't agree with it, then fine. You don't have to trust me. But I'm doing it nonetheless. I live in this city. My children live in this city. My wife is sitting right behind me, or right behind you. And you guys have made you've made a mess out of this mayor. Yes. The misinformation campaign that has been going on for so long, the leaking of the opportunities that would have saved you lots of money, directly to RCH's attorneys so that they can then turn around and threaten to sue 2 city council members. We're not doing this to them. So you guys can make the decision. You guys can make the decision. If you want to borrow $40 million, if that's what you want to do. No, we have not sued them. The city. We have authorized a single lawsuit.
You discussed and considered and called a vote, and twice this council has authorized lawsuits. 4-1.
I don't know what she's talking about.
You can look at the minutes of the meeting.
We have an outstanding authorization.
You authorized it.
What are we?
Mr. Holloway, will you please make a comment and clarify what's going on with respect to lawsuits in the city and RCH?
Well, and also if we can, you know, at some point, I mean, I know you said you wanted to talk forever.
No, I didn't say that.
Or something to the effect.
You get a lot of
Here's the other thing that you get, the people, you know, y'all are talking about all these votes and stuff. Folks, you get a vote in May. And I think that's where you should speak. And I can tell you right now, I stand behind everything I've said. I stand behind everything I've shared. I have not given you misinformation. No, I haven't. I have the documents to back everything up that I speak on. These numbers that I'm hearing are they're just not out there correctly.
What numbers?
They're just not. So
what numbers?
All I can tell you is, you know, you're going to have probably up until May to have these discussions. You're going to have to just go through and endure a lot of things. But come May, I'm pretty certain there will probably be 3 people up here packing.
You know, I don't know what numbers you're talking about, but I've looked into the various numbers in terms of what local communities are doing here to obtain water. And this evening, Heath is proposing sinking 6 wells. And when their project is, and that'll just bring them to 6 million gallons a day, which is the minimal amount of water that they need. And so they'll be investing in the future. But that's going to cost them $35 million just to get them to 0. And then they have to be looking upon expansion of their town for more resources, more water. So you're looking at a $35 million project there. Blackland's project is at least $35 million. The project here in town with RCH, they quote $20 million. I don't know if they think it's going to be $20 million, but we know that it's going to be at least $35 million. If they have an elevated 3 million gallon tank, the 3 million gallon tanks alone, and you can look at Heath's numbers, which are on the website, are $9 million a piece. And so the likely event is that RCH's investment will be around $35 to $40 million. So this is getting to be very, very expensive. So what Mr. Day is proposing is an option. It's an alternative. I think it would be propitious for us all to listen and maybe at least invest some time into exploring it without discounting it on the immediate. What he's saying is basically Blackland will have their 22-inch pipe in by, I think it's the spring of 26. And literally, RCH could tag right into that pipe without investing in this major project of theirs, which we're going to pay for at least $40 million. They could tag into that pipe over at Blackland, and for minimal expenditure, probably less than $5 million, they would be able to have sufficient amounts of water to provide for all of the city and the ETJ. I mean, you can discount that argument if you want, but I'm just going to tell you that you should avail yourself of the opportunity and investigate it. Go to one of Blackland's meetings, their monthly meetings, and ask the questions. Just ask the questions. What Councilman Day is saying is there are options. There are alternatives here. And to dismiss those out of hand and say, yes, we're going straight with RCH, they're making the best decisions possible, that's fine. But it's a $40 million investment, and it's going to cost all of us on a monthly basis a lot more if we go that route. And if there is an alternative, why wouldn't we seek that alternative where it would definitely cost us less? You know?
Well, I mean, this is something that could be negotiated, right? This is the water committee sitting down. This is this water committee being able to sit down freely without having to worry about being front run or sued, meeting with Blackland, meeting with RCH, and coming to a deal. They could do that in a week. Why aren't they doing it? Well, right now, RCH is suing Blackland. RCH is suing the city. We can't even get a mediation date with them. So the information that is out there that we are somehow not working with people, I have been begging people. I've been begging people to sit down and to think calmly and rationally. When people say RCH is the only way, they don't know what they're talking about. They don't know what they're talking about. It's pure misinformation designed to sell a loan that you don't need to take on. That's my opinion. If you want to vote me out for it because you'd rather take on the $40 million, fine. I don't care. You know, I'm going to stand my ground on this. I think you guys are better off. I think the city is better off investing in smarter things. We've got great developments that are coming in. And when I'm talking about developments, commercial developments coming in, I think you're going to be impressed. I think that we show people that we care about the public purse around here, and that if you come and invest in our community, we make sure you get maximum value. I think that's a big deal. And then if we get together a deal like this, then we also can go and supply water to possible sister cities and communities. Look at Heath. They're talking about sinking wells, for God's sake. That's an act of desperation. We could solve this through an ILA in a week if the right people would come to the table. Right now, the wrong people are at the table. And not just everybody's going to say, oh, it's the city, it's the city, it's the city. There are good people in all three organizations. Get the right people sitting at the table and broker this deal. And you need to read The Art of the Deal, speaking of which.
Angela, item 7.8, please.
Discuss and consider approval to submit franchise fee tax agreement to all utilities not in compliance with the city ordinance.
That would be, make sure we say that it's resubmit.
Sir, we just went out of order. We're actually on item number 6.
Yeah, I'm good. I already spoke. 7.8 was read. That's where we're at.
So on this has been a concern of
We
mine.
need to make a motion.
I'm sorry.
And a second.
Yeah.
So someone make a motion, please.
I'd make a motion to seek approval to resubmit the franchise fee tax agreement to all utilities not in compliance with the city ordinance.
I'll second.
Okay. Mr. Tucker.
Yep. So this is something that I've been concerned about. I did some reading about other communities in the Metroplex, and in particular it was Denton that did a review of their franchise fee agreements with various utilities. And to my understanding after the reading was that they found that there were a lot of utilities within the city that weren't compliant with paying the franchise fees. And as a result, when they did their investigation and institute compliance with these individual companies, they ended up recouping a substantial amount of money. And so I ended up tasking Jeff White, with looking into this and basically listing all the various utilities that had investments within the McLendon-Chisholm, and then beyond that, seeing if they were compliant with the payment of the franchise fees. And so there's a list of these to include Farmers Electric, AT&T, Atmos, Encore, CE Bridge, Peoples, CSC Holdings, Community Waste Disposal, DirecTV. And then beyond that, we looked at the more obvious, which is RCH, and then High Point, and then Blackland. And so what were our findings on this, Jeffrey?
Yeah, so basically we're looking at this for a budget. The franchise fee is one of the largest portions of the city's budget each year. And notice that none of the water providers have paid us. So that's what kind of led to this. Blackland responded back to us and let us know that they do not have they don't serve any residents of McLendon-Chisholm, which is why they have not returned theirs. RCH and High Point, neither one have returned theirs at this point. So at this point, we don't have one from either of them. Those are the only two utility companies that I know of at this point within the city that we don't have franchise-free agreements from. And as we know, those would be pretty large amounts of money I believe they would be pretty large amounts of money. We don't have their specific numbers, but the franchise fee agreements that we passed a resolution for were 2% of their revenues. So I imagine that would amount to a pretty substantial amount of money for the city to use towards whatever it needs.
Most all cities have these franchise fee agreements with individual utilities that run through their properties. I mean, they're given right of way is basically what it is.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, so we have two utilities that are out of compliance, those being RCH and High Point. Have we had conversations with these guys and talk to them specifically about?
I know that we've reached out to both of them in terms of getting them,
okay.
But we do not have a signed copy from either one of them.
Okay, so we're in anticipation of those coming across at some point in time?
That would be great. We passed this ordinance in 2023.
Yeah.
I don't have them, so.
Okay, so we'll continue to pursue that and reach out to these companies and see if they will be compliant. I know in particular that we got a letter from a subcontractor that states that they're going to be relocating portions of the water system for RCH along State Highway 205, and they're concerned about tearing up the roads and during the relocation. And I assume that we've notified RCH of this letter. Are you familiar with it?
I'm not familiar with it.
Okay, I'll talk to the attorney, and I'll talk to the city administrator on this point, but hopefully they'll be compliant, otherwise maybe they won't be able to move any utilities. And the same applies to High Point as well, if they have any intentions along those lines, until they pay the franchise fee tax. Thanks.
Mr. Easter?
I have no questions.
Mr. McLendon? Mr. Brewer?
I think I was under the impression that, at least with RCH, maybe some time ago, they had sent back the franchise agreement, but with red marks in it. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, that is correct. Okay. We noticed them.
That's actually not correct. Yeah, so actually what we did is we got back from RCH a red line version of an ordinance, which is a law, as you'll know, that was already passed by the city council. That's what we actually ended up getting back from them.
Mr. Day?
I have nothing.
So that, to that point, if it's an ordinance, there is no, I mean, it could be amended by council, but if council doesn't amend it, then it's applicable across the board for all utilities.
Well, we passed an ordinance for each one of the water utilities. So yes, once that ordinance is passed, yes, the council can amend it if council chooses to, yes.
In terms of the tax itself, it's equal for both Blackland and Blackland or participant, RCH and High Point. It's all the same.
Yeah, we looked that up today to make sure, and I looked it up, and everybody's 2%.
Okay. 2% of gross receipts, if I recall correctly. Okay.
Okay, well, we've had a motion and a second, so all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Show that unanimous. 7.9.
Discuss and consider approval of up to $30,000 in road repairs for Quail Creek subdivision.
I make a motion to discuss and consider approval of up to $30,000 in road repairs for Quail Creek subdivision.
And do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. So this was an item that was brought up in citizens' comments. So it shows that we do actually listen in citizens' comments. And this is a repair of some roads that could lead to more repairs if we don't look at doing something now. It could actually be more costly from my conversations. So we're asking for an approval up to 30,000 so that we can get these road repairs made. I still need to find out one other thing, if this has been fully assessed by somebody. Is that correct? Yes. Okay, so then all we're asking for is the approval up to 30,000, and we've had the motion in the second, so if there's no other discussion.
Well, let's have some discussion real quick. I don't know what we're buying for this 30,000. I'm aware of the item and I'm aware of the concern. I'd like some details.
Bev,
there's nothing in the packet other than just a simple discuss and consider approval of $30,000 in road repairs for Quail Creek.
Correct. Bev, would you want to take some questions on this? Don't mean to put you on the spot, but you might be the fastest to the answer.
I am by far not a road engineer. I only know what I was told by Mr. Woodruff. And the gentleman that came out to do the bid at his request, when I visited with him, he said there was such an erosion problem under that portion of Pheasant Hill Drive that it was just going to continue, the concrete was going to continue to break off until probably half of the road was broken off instead of just the 3 areas that have broken off to date.
And if I recall, this is a city obligation, right?
They are city-owned streets. The city has owned them since they were first constructed in '93 and beyond. But unbeknownst to the HOA of Quail Creek, we had assumed responsibility for those streets because it's what we were told. And we have spent over $80,000 on road repairs to date that we did not ask to be reimbursed by the city when the city discovered they were owned by them.
Thank you, Bev. Hopefully I don't have to call you back. I think that was good. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for answering those questions.
So the streets are, I started with you, right?
No, that was very helpful for me to understand.
Okay.
What's our responsibility. They've already invested $80,000 on it. Sounds like they haven't done a lot. There's been, it's 93, it's fairly old. It sounds pretty reasonable.
Right on.
Oh, sorry.
On the line real quick. Mr. McLendon? Mr. Brewer? And now back to you, sir.
Yeah, sorry about that. I didn't realize you were going down the line. The 30,000 in road repairs for Quail Creek, is this over a duration? Is this just something we're going to just allocate and say up to 30,000 for repairs over the upcoming year, or are there specific things that this is being targeted for?
From what I gather, it's going to be up to 30,000 on the actual repair of what Bev just spoke on.
Oh, to that specific one, as opposed to general maintenance and including that repair. Okay.
It is that repair.
For a specific location.
Yeah, it's for that specific repair and location. It's not a maintenance on some other items on the roads. It's just for that specific area. And if I'm not mistaken, I want to say it's actually closer to 28. Okay, sorry, 28.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Tucker.
Just wanted to know how long the repair would be expected to serve that particular road?
Yeah,
any estimate on that?
I don't have an estimate on that, and I don't even think Bev would have that estimate either on how long that repair was going to last for. Did they give you that indication?
I have not seen the bid. I only know Mr. Woodruff told me it was $28,000. They are concrete streets. And what the gentleman did when he was out there, he actually marked off where it would be cut out. Okay. So I am assuming, you know what that gets you, that it will be a concrete repair. Okay. And knowing what we spent on concrete repairs and the amount of street that the gentleman marked off, $28,000 is probably concrete.
So it sounds like it's going to be durable.
Yes.
And long-lasting.
Yes. But there's also a huge erosion problem there that I am hoping he addressed in there to stop this from happening in the future.
Yeah. I hope it's included as well. Thank you.
Yeah, and we can maybe, when you get the bid, if we can just double check it, just make sure we're all good.
You have the bid.
We do have it?
Mark Woodruff has the bid.
Mark Woodruff.
He's the one that called the company out because they're city streets. He did call him out at our request, the HOA's request, to come look at it, and he's the one that, he has the bid.
Angela, if you can have Mark give me that bid tomorrow, actually, Friday I'll be gone, so. Thanks, Bev. If there's no other discussion, then we've had the second and the motion, so we'll take it to a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Show another unanimous. So going in order, probably going to be going into executive session shortly, folks, so all the items have been addressed on here, so you're welcome to stay when we go into executive session, but that would be on yours. We will go down the line, and just if council members want to give any reports or announcements, we'll do so at this time. Once that's done, I'll probably take us into executive session. We have one more item for executive session. That is to go over employee stuff. So with that, Mr. Easter.
I've got nothing, Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Mr. McLendon. Thanks, sir. Mr. Brewer.
Yes, next Wednesday, a week from tomorrow, we will have a Home Rule Commission meeting. This is an important one. This is going to be a more formalized one because we have a working document now, and they'll be taking a vote on it, reviewing it. I encourage the public to come out. When we put the agenda out, which should be out by this coming Friday, we'll have a copy of that on there so people can look on it online. They've put in a lot of work, and it's coming along pretty well. I suspect if everything goes right between now and December, we'll get it over to our city attorney to give his thoughts on it and make sure we're dotting our I's and crossing our T's. And then I anticipate in January having a town hall for everybody to come in. We'll explain it, present it, and get your feedback. We'll have another meeting and then present it to council, get feedback, and then hopefully after that present it for being put on the May calendar for a vote.
Very good job, yeah. Yeah. Mr. Deck.
Yeah, other than water, which, believe it or not, isn't even like my biggest thing. It just irritates me when misinformation is out there, something fierce. With respect to, I want to say, just a call to, if you're confused or you want to reach out, you just don't understand and you want to talk to me, I meet with people. I talk to people. Sit down and meet with me. I'm easy. Have breakfast with me. Have lunch with me. I usually have my kids around, that kind of stuff. I'm very approachable. So please reach out to me and we'll sit down and talk to you. And if you have another idea and you say, I think we should do X, Y, and Z, you'd be surprised that once you build a sandbox and the ideas start to flow, what can happen for you and your community? One of the things that is another roadblock that's just come up this last week, I wouldn't say it's a roadblock, but it's a roadblock for us, I think. Rockwall ISD's bonds were voted down, and that was probably our kind of one chance to get an elementary school, for example, probably for 10 years. So we are already brainstorming on a plan B because we can't sit around and let our kids not have schools. And so we've already reached out to Miss Pearson. She's an amazing person. She's got great ideas. We're talking to other people as well to find out what the options might be because we're heading into a new frontier in education in the state of Texas, right? It's a fait accompli. It's going to happen when they go ahead and they pass. I call it the voucher program, but what is it? It's more of an education savings account system. So there's different possibilities that we might be looking into. For example, the founding perhaps a city charter school or something like this. So there's different opportunities where you as parents will have the opportunity, and as investors in your own schools, will have the opportunity to design your own school for your children, for education that's going to work for you and the values that you have. And we might even have more than one depending on the situation. I mean, these are just ideas, right? Another way to foster and to take care of our homeschool families in education. So there's different ways that we could do this. So I want to let you know that we're digging deeply already on a plan B because we need a school, and we need a school bad. This is a promise that has not been kept by this community to make sure that we have educational services here, and we're working on it.
Mr. Tucker.
Yeah, to that point, we're looking and speaking with people that might donate land for that opportunity. And so it's exciting to get on a topic other than water, which is remarkable that it's still within the element of working on this console. But the school system that was rejected here just recently, we can do something nice in this community. So I'm in favor of this. And it's Councilman Day's baby, but I'm on board with it. I attended a meeting up at Rockwell this past week regarding the loop, intercounty loop, and this is for the midsection, but they'll have a presentation that will be virtual, and it will also be in person up at the was it the library? Not the library, but the other facility up the courthouse. Up at the courthouse. So go to the website for the county, and they'll have all that information available for you. And so, yeah.
And for me, you know, just so you know, we do get passionate up here. We go to battle, but honestly, I got no issues up here with these guys. But I am passionate, just like they are. I don't take any of this stuff personal. We're just doing business. It is 9:41. I'm going to put us in a 10-minute recess, and at 9:51, we will be in our executive session. Again, y'all are welcome to stay, but I think you're going to have us come out and say no action taken or something to that effect.
I just want to make a public apology for talking over you so much. I apologize. That was...
I didn't even hear. I didn't hear.
A public apology for speaking over you.
Oh,
this evening.
Man, you know we're passionate. You
It's
know,
like-
I honestly have no issues with any of these guys. Wouldn't
almost-
take a bullet for them, but I have no issues with them. So at that, it's 9:42 now, so we'll go in a 10-minute recess. 9:52, we will be in executive session. Thank you, Brian.
I just wanted to make sure that the public was covered and you guys were getting what you need.
She's the treasurer.
Yeah, that's what you guys got here going on with this.
Well, it's just breaking off in chunks, and it's floating right now, so there's no.
The biggest question we have is you can't just cover it, the ballast underneath has to be dealt with, and that was one of the issues we're gonna find out, because I wanna make sure you don't wanna go $6,000 and throw $30,000 on top of it, and then you're having to rebake that cake in 6 months.
And we early on, we thought we had the streets, we did something very similar, and it became very apparent that you gotta do it from the ground up, right?
The $1 million per mile number is a real number. It comes from laying a 7-inch pad and building it with the proper substrate. Building a road like the Romans would do today would be, somebody actually told me, to build a Roman equivalent road would be $3 million a mile. And I completely believe it.
I know a million mile pipeline, when you lay an oil pipe, it's usually $1 million a mile. So, we understand you. You say to somebody, you have my undivided attention, but when the city makes the QC file about what it would cost to supply water, it only did a cost to Sonoma Verde, because that's how you got information. $5 million to switch the infrastructure to Blackman, and another $20 million for a tower and ground spread. So, I get Blackland has infrastructure, and I get tagged on that. There's no way that you can serve a gazillion more customers with one tower and one ground storage and one pipe.
They'll be putting in another ground storage.
And then there's different pressure plates, there's different areas, there's big engineer. If you're saying, I don't see, and you can tell me if you've got this off, that we could serve all of RCH, all of Trilogy, all of Sonoma Verde, all of DR Portland, with what Blackland's about, with no more towers or infrastructure, and no more pipelines, with just the one pipeline.
There will be more, but it would be of a shared cost. And we would even have sufficient water to even help our neighbors in the heat.
Well, and
I'm not saying salt, I'm not saying salt, I'm saying help. I know
I
that.
don't have a problem solving their problem using their own salts. Water is something we all need. But look, so, you're saying that. The other thing I want.
It can, and that, by the way, they have told us
The other thing I
that.
want you to understand though is, and I had to learn this, in Texas, actually, in California too, water is a state sanctioned monopoly. Because the infrastructure costs are so ruinous that they need to protect the territory to know that they can build out. It is, no, it is. So, the unicorn in this situation is Sonoma Verde, which is not in a CCN. That is the only place market forces really are active.
Yeah.
Because nobody else really has a choice.
That's right. It was ground zero. It was an opportunity for us to look at a new paradigm for water.
So, I'm still going to say, and I keep saying, you made a vote that confused us all. We don't know what you have in mind. And I still, I'm here asking you questions about the little that you told me so far. I still have questions. I want to see the plan.
I just told, well, first off, the plan is going to be, the plan is materializing, but you're very close with the RCH people.
I am. I'll talk to them.
So are you, hold on. Are you aware that as soon as we announce a plan, they whack all the plan, that mayor does exactly the same thing?
But in May of 2023, you had an agreement with RCH being negotiated, and RCH came and said, we want you to sign this NDA, so much is going on with our roads. You guys denied the
deal
NDA.
I'm talking about is David Naylor had a deal that he was trying to raise black land. That's what I was talking about in May of 2023.
I don't have a problem with that. David Naylor, and I know Adrian did. David Naylor.
I'm not down with David
Oh,
Naylor.
wait. Adrian. David Naylor, you guys put September 2022, you put out, here's the minimum, 15301 is the sale merger transfer. And then in May, when after Naylor got elected, and he pissed off Robin Bailey by calling on it, she ran away, and her operator ran away. There was an agreement in front of the city saying, we need you to sign this non-disclosure so that we can continue the negotiations. That didn't get signed because Adrian advised all of you, including Councilman Neal and Hoffman.
I wasn't here. It was Jennifer Hoffman who did that.
You unanimously voted not to sign the NDA because Adrian Hoffman minutes in advance said, we need to wait a little while because she had some meetings coming up with water attorneys. Now it's not time, so you all voted it down. So that effectively. Let me paint the picture that I see. So that effectively stopped the negotiations. Now I know Mayor Pro Tem Hoffman got very upset when she reviewed it with talking to Blackman, talking to Cash SUD, talking to Rockall, talking to all the local water suppliers to say, who could take over RCH? But we're not talking to the city anymore because they have stopped the negotiations. Who might be better than someone who's already operating our system? She did not want to do that. Now, she told me that. He might come back. He's a chief of staff. But he's running a water company for all of us customers. He's got a duty to find the best thing for us. I have no problem.
So the question is, what is the bearing on that? Because I got
Okay, so the bearing on that is you voted not to do the NDA, which stopped negotiations. Then you voted in July 11th, 2023, It's in there.
We can't make the assumption less than that, because if indeed they are.
You're saying you're forced to make that assumption in the absence of information. Okay, that's different
And the
than
other side,
asserting
that's
what you're
exactly, the other side of it.
No, we're not.
You were asserting that they had pledged city assets as collateral without knowledge of that actual.
And if you look at, it's Kobe, their original. If you look at the loan, that collateral they're promising, which is revenues, those are taken by USDA as.
Well, that's how they know they're going to make their money back.
And by
process, they end up taking over our assets to collateralize that loan. Does that make sense?
What do you mean they're going to take over your assets?
They take over the assets of the city effectively by using
They're not taking over any assets. Water is going to run through those pipes. Someone's going to bring you that water. The city was under contract with RCH for that revenue.
But you're missing something. And this is what you're missing, is what he's saying is that we have a contract. Our contract with the PID, with Sonoma Verde, is that we provide water. That's the contract. They're simply a vendor. That's all it is.
Right, but that contract with the vendor was back in 2014 enabled Sonoma Verde to be developed. This water vendor put their revenues and their property taxes in your rate.
So to that, yes.
And now you want to say no.
Wait, what? No, the vendor did not.
The vendor enabled you to develop Sonoma Verde to be developed, and those property taxes come into the city.
But that's immaterial.
Whoever it was.
It could have been Blackburn, it could have been anybody.
It could have been anybody, but you picked RCH. Maybe because RCH members were understood.
But on that principle, you said you pick, and the point is that Daniel's making, and that you probably heard
I
that's
get the
your
point
kid.
you're making where you're going. You're saying you picked them.
They picked. That's the point. And now we don't.
You voted to terminate. It's not.
Do we have everybody? Okay. It is 10:02 and we are back from our executive session. What was discussed in executive session was Angela Jennings has been our interim city secretary, and I'm going to be asking for a motion to approve her as our permanent city secretary. So I will entertain that motion, please.
Make a motion to accept Angela Jennings as our permanent secretary.
And do I have a second?
I'll second.
All righty, so we're all a little nervous up here on this vote.
I also want to say, I wanted the honor to say second, so I'd like to third. She's incredible.
We were hoping for the hesitation. Mr. Day just ruined it. We still love him. All right. You know what? We're going to do a roll call vote on this one so that Angela hears it from everybody. And if you would like to even add some public comments so that they will be for the record for Angela, feel free to do so. So, Mr. Easter, you are first on the vote.
I'm approve this. I vote yay on it. She's done a great job. I feel so lucky to work with someone who's on top of everything and keeps me out of trouble to the best of her abilities. It's not perfect because, you know, I'm myself. But anyways, I think she does a great job.
Mr. McLendon, sir.
Yes.
Mr. Brewer.
I wholeheartedly vote aye, and I just want to thank her for the help that she's been giving me with the Charter Commission, especially with the amount of paperwork that we go through. We've killed some trees, and so I greatly appreciate her. Greatly appreciate you, Angela.
Mr. Day.
Yeah, overwhelmingly yes. You know, she's been an angel and a godsend to the city. I think that our morale has improved considerably. So yeah, overwhelmingly, I'm going to be a yes.
Mr. Tucker.
I'll also vote yes on this. Just exciting to work with her every day. She just is very ebullient, always upbeat and willing to help, and just very remarkable individual aside from her secretarial duties. Always enjoyable to speak to, but it's just such a positive force and has really changed, I think, the tone in City Hall altogether, especially when you have to work with 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 other guys. So it's nice to hear a woman's voice when I do come down to City Hall.
Oh, Mayor, I think it's important to mention that she talks a lot less than Conrad.
Well, that's for now public record. I don't have a vote, but I'm excited, and I very much appreciate the council and their comments tonight that they directed towards you. It's definitely well deserved. So welcome to the permanent city secretarial position. And that brings us to 10:05, and we are adjourned.